"What do you know about the Shroud of Turin?" Well, at that point, I kind of laughed and I said, "But Don, I'm Jewish." And Don laughed and said, "So am I."
When Barrie Schwortz first carefully examined the Shroud of Turin, no one could have anticipated the shock that would ripple through the scientific world. But for Barrie, documenting it was like peering into a frozen moment of history, a silent witness to suffering, sacrifice, and mystery. Within the folds of the simple linen, blood, wounds, and inexplicable markings told a story so vivid, so precise, that even the most experienced scientists were left unsettled. So, what was it about this ancient cloth that terrified experts? This is the story behind that extraordinary discovery. Through Barrie Schwortz's lens, as the official documenting photographer for the Shroud of Turin research project, the team responsible for the very first in-depth scientific examination of the shroud in 1978, Barrie Schwortz carried a responsibility unlike any other. He was not merely taking photographs or cataloging an ancient cloth. He was entrusted with capturing every nuance, every fiber, every mark that the shroud displayed. His task required an extraordinary combination of technical skill, patience, and precision. There was no room for interpretation, no place for speculation. Each image had to be accurate, objective, and complete, because these photographs would become the permanent record of one of the most mysterious artifacts in human history. Barrie approached the shroud with extraordinary care and focus. Every fold of the linen, every shadow created by its wrinkles, and every faint, almost invisible outline of the figure pressed into the cloth had to be captured with perfect clarity. These were not ordinary photographs. They were careful studies designed to reveal secrets the human eye could easily miss. Under the harsh glare of bright lights and through sophisticated scientific equipment, Barrie moved with unwavering precision, ensuring nothing was disturbed or altered. Each shot required absolute control, a delicate balance of attention and restraint, because a single error could erase critical evidence forever. Every image became a window into a centuries-old mystery, patiently preserved for the world to see. As Barrie carefully documented every detail of the shroud, it quickly became clear that this was no ordinary piece of cloth. Beneath its quiet surface lay evidence that was stark, unsettling, and impossible to ignore. Bloodstains that told of extreme suffering, dirt that marked repeated falls, and the precise imprints of wounds, all captured through Barrie's lens, revealed a pattern far too exact, too deliberate, to be accidental. It was as though the shroud itself were speaking, narrating a story frozen in time and preserved across centuries. Scientists who studied his photographs were struck immediately. This was not simply a relic, and it did not act like any known artwork, painting, or forgery. Every detail challenged explanation, leaving experts both awed and deeply unsettled. The precision and thoroughness of Barrie's documentation had a profound effect on the experts examining the shroud. What should have been a controlled, orderly scientific investigation began to take on a more urgent, almost uneasy tone. The details captured in the images challenged expectations, contradicted assumptions, and left seasoned researchers quietly questioning what they thought they knew. The shroud, once approached as a historical curiosity, now demanded a level of attention and scrutiny that unsettled even the most experienced minds. And at the center of it all, quietly, meticulously, was Barrie Schwortz, whose photographs ensured that the shroud's secrets could no longer be ignored. Though Barrie was known for his accuracy in capturing every detail of the Shroud of Turin, there is far more to his discoveries than meets the eye. What exactly did he uncover? And what hidden details had the shroud been concealing for centuries? Let's find out. Blood that tells a story of torture. As Barrie Schwortz meticulously documented the Shroud of Turin, he began to uncover details that were both extraordinary and deeply unsettling. The cloth was far more than a mere relic. It carried the unmistakable traces of a human life marked by suffering. Embedded within the fibers, he observed what would later be confirmed as real human blood. Not a symbolic or artistic representation, but genuine biological evidence. Further analysis revealed that this blood belonged to a male of the AB blood type, a small detail that quietly reinforced the authenticity of the forensic clues contained in the shroud. What made the discovery even more compelling and profoundly haunting was the nature of the blood itself. The stains displayed evidence of both pre-mortem and post-mortem bleeding, a combination that told a tragic story of prolonged trauma. This was not the result of a single isolated injury. It was the mark of extreme suffering endured over time. Each stain seemed to whisper the reality of a body subjected to torture, revealing pain in a way that could not be faked. For Barrie, capturing these details through photography was not just a matter of science. It was a confrontation with history, an intimate glimpse into a past marked by agony and endurance. The shroud's secrets went far beyond the bloodstains. As Barrie Schwortz meticulously examined the cloth, he recorded nail marks in the wrists and ankles, injuries that matched exactly what historical accounts describe of Roman crucifixion. These wounds were astonishingly precise, so anatomically correct that they seemed to trace the suffering of a real human being in excruciating detail. There was no artistic flourish, no abstract design, only the raw imprint of pain and trauma pressed into the linen. Every mark, every stain, told a story of agony frozen in time, captured with a realism that left scientists stunned and searching for answers. Adding a haunting layer of realism, the shroud revealed traces of dirt on the feet, knees, and nose, telling a story of repeated falls and desperate struggle. Each mark suggested the individual had been forced to carry a heavy burden under extreme pain, collapsing again and again along the way. These small, almost invisible details spoke volumes, serving as a silent record of human suffering. The precision and consistency of every smudge, every stain, was staggering, far beyond the skill or imagination of any artist or medieval forger, leaving an unsettling sense of truth woven into the cloth itself. Taken together, the blood, the crucifixion wounds, and the dirt formed a coherent, compelling, and undeniable picture. The shroud did not depict a symbolic scene or a crafted image. It recorded the evidence of a tortured human being, captured in astonishing detail, preserved through centuries, and finally revealed to the modern world through Barrie Schwortz's careful, unflinching documentation. Barrie revealed evidence that pointed unmistakably to a torture victim, with real blood, not the work of an artist. But what does this blood truly signify? Now, let's explore a silent witness to agony, signs of crucifixion and physical collapse. The image on the Shroud of Turin is unlike anything ever seen in the world of relics or religious artifacts. At first, it seems like a faint, almost ghostly outline of a man, barely visible. But when examined closely, the cloth reveals something astonishing. Every mark, every wound, every trace of blood and dirt aligns perfectly with real physical trauma. The injuries are precise, unnervingly detailed, and impossible to dismiss. Each stain and smudge tells a silent story, a story of suffering, extreme pain, and a body pushed to its absolute limits. Forensic studies of the shroud show that the blood flow patterns are not random. They follow the direction and behavior expected from a crucified man. The wounds appear in anatomically correct locations, precisely where Roman executioners would have driven nails to suspend a human body. From the wrists to the ankles, the placement and angle of the injuries align perfectly with historical knowledge of crucifixion practices. This level of anatomical and procedural accuracy is remarkable in itself, but what makes it truly astonishing is that these details appear naturally in the cloth's image, with no sign of artistic intervention or human manipulation. Beyond the visible wounds, the shroud preserves delicate clues of how the body interacted with its surroundings during the ordeal. Dirt, dust, and small debris cling to the feet, knees, and other areas, suggesting the man repeatedly fell, stumbled, or collapsed under immense weight or the strain of crucifixion. These marks are not artistic decoration. They are precise, accidental impressions left by a body under extreme physical stress. Layered with the blood and open wounds, these details form a chilling, almost forensic map. Each stain and smear tells a story, creating a visual record of suffering, pain, and human fragility, perfectly preserved on the ancient linen. For scientists, the discoveries within the Shroud of Turin have been profoundly unsettling. Unlike any known painting, forgery, or medieval artwork, the image shows no brushstrokes, no pigments, and no signs of deliberate creation. Yet it captures a level of realism that defies explanation. Every detail aligns with human anatomy and reflects the harsh realities of crucifixion, as if the body itself left a perfect imprint. Bloodstains, wounds, and subtle marks behave exactly as they would on a suffering person. The result is an eerie, haunting record that feels almost alive, so precise, so complete, that even the most seasoned researchers find themselves puzzled, questioning their understanding, and in some cases, deeply shaken. In short, the shroud is far more than a simple piece of cloth. It is a silent witness, a frozen narrative of trauma that defies easy interpretation. The image on the shroud captures the brutality of human suffering with a precision scientists cannot deny. But what other discoveries leave researchers without argument? Now, let's unravel the shocking connection between the Shroud of Turin and the Sudarium of Oviedo. Connections across relics. Barrie Schwortz's meticulous documentation of the Shroud of Turin did more than record its surface details. It also revealed an astonishing connection to another ancient relic, the Sudarium of Oviedo. This smaller cloth, long believed to have covered Jesus' head after the crucifixion, had been preserved separately for centuries, its own story wrapped in mystery and reverence. At first glance, these two relics might have seemed entirely independent, different sizes, different locations, and centuries apart. But when Barrie and the researchers examined the evidence closely, a startling correspondence emerged. The bloodstains on the shroud, carefully mapped and photographed, bore patterns that aligned in remarkable detail with the stains on the Sudarium. Wounds in the head region, the flow of blood along particular angles, and the distribution of dried clots all suggested a single source, a single human body that had endured unimaginable suffering. For scholars and scientists, this discovery was more than a coincidence. It was a tangible link across time and space, connecting two cloths that had been separated for centuries, yet seemed to tell the same story. What made this connection even more compelling was the way the evidence fit together so seamlessly. The shroud had already presented a shocking level of detail: blood from pre- and post-mortem wounds, nail marks in the wrists and ankles, traces of dirt indicating repeated falls. Now, the Sudarium's patterns not only supported these observations, but also provided independent verification. Two relics, preserved in different regions and under different circumstances, appeared to document the same historical event. For researchers, this was a rare and unsettling convergence, a pattern that could not easily be explained away by coincidence or fabrication. Barrie Schwortz's meticulous photographs brought the shroud's hidden story to light for the world. Every bloodstain, shadow, and faint imprint was meticulously recorded, capturing details that might have been overlooked forever. Through his lens, the shroud transformed from a mysterious, centuries-old relic into a detailed forensic record of a crucifixion, revealing patterns of injury, collapse, and suffering. His work enabled scholars to compare these findings with another ancient cloth, the Sudarium of Oviedo, creating a level of evidence and connection that was nearly unprecedented in historical research, leaving experts astonished and unsettled. The implications of this discovery were profound. For the scientific community, it was simultaneously fascinating and disquieting. The shroud alone had challenged conventional understanding, but paired with the sudarium, it presented a puzzle that defied easy explanation. Two separate relics, independently preserved, independently verified, yet telling the same story. This was not just evidence of a brutal death long ago. It was a tangible mystery reaching across centuries, leaving researchers to wrestle with a truth that refused to be neatly explained. Barrie Schwortz's documentation revealed a connection across history, leaving researchers amazed at the precision linking two separate mysteries. But why are these discoveries so exact that scientists cannot argue against them? Now, let's delve into why scientists were deeply unsettled, unveiling the terrifying truth. Through Barrie Schwortz's careful and painstaking documentation, the Shroud of Turin revealed details that no one could ignore or explain away. Every fiber, every stain, and every shadow told a story that went far beyond what anyone expected. The blood on the cloth was not just symbolic. It was real human blood, male, AB type, and forensic studies showed that it came from someone who had endured severe trauma. Both pre-mortem and post-mortem bleeding were evident, pointing to a body that had suffered greatly, a victim of torture so extreme that the very patterns of suffering were preserved in the linen itself. But blood alone was not the only astonishing revelation. The shroud displayed wounds that matched those of crucifixion perfectly. Nail marks appeared precisely in the wrists and ankles, where they would have supported the weight of a human body on a cross. There were also traces of dirt on the feet, knees, and even the nose, indicating repeated falls and the strain of carrying a heavy burden. These details were not artistic choices or imagined depictions. They were physical evidence, frozen in time, a record of suffering that no medieval artist or forger could have reproduced with such anatomical accuracy and consistency. The mystery became even more intense when Barrie Schwortz's detailed photographs were compared with another ancient relic, the sudarium of Oviedo, thought to have covered Jesus' head after the crucifixion. To the astonishment of researchers, the blood-stain patterns on both cloths aligned perfectly, suggesting they had once touched the same wounded body. This was not just a coincidence. It formed a convergence of evidence that was as compelling as it was unsettling. Suddenly, the story was no longer confined to a single cloth. Multiple relics seemed to tell the same extraordinary tale, each one independently confirming what the other revealed, deepening the sense of awe and scientific unease. For the scientists who examined Barrie's documentation, the discoveries were far beyond surprising. They were a profound intellectual jolt. The shroud refused to behave like a forgery, a painting, or any known medieval creation. No historical record or scientific theory could explain the exact mix of real blood, crucifixion wounds, signs of physical collapse, and corroboration with other ancient relics. The way all these details aligned formed a puzzle so complex and precise that it challenged logic, scientific methods, and the very boundaries of what experts believed possible. Ultimately, it was Barrie Schwortz's careful, relentless documentation that made the world stop and take notice. Through his camera, the Shroud of Turin transformed from a quiet religious relic into a striking historical enigma. Every stain, mark, and detail he captured challenged scientists, leaving them puzzled, questioning, and in some cases, deeply shaken. It revealed a silent record of suffering, trauma, and mystery, an ancient story so precise, so haunting, that it could not be overlooked or dismissed. So, what do you think about Barrie Schwortz's discoveries on the Shroud of Turin? Could they send scientists back to the lab? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.